Consumer behavior. In microeconomics, we understand behavior as meaning the agent makes a certain choice or decision under certain circumstances. Moreover, in quantitative economics, this choice is the choice to consume a certain quantity of each item or commodity. For example, a textbook microeconomics problem might ask the following. John has an income of rupees 800. He consumes only bread and butter, always in the ratio 4:1. If a unit of bread costs rupees 25 and a unit of butter costs rupees 12, how much of bread and butter does John buy and consume? The above is a toy problem. Decision making problems in the real world are seldom as simple. But remember that when eating a nice big burger, we take it one chunk at a time, one bite at a time, right? Similarly, when working with phenomena as complex as human behavior, instead of trying to tackle the problem all at once right from the beginning, we try to simplify the problem, breaking it down into smaller chunks until the chunk is easy enough for us to work with. What we learn in beginner microeconomics is a simplified view of human behavior, but this view is helpful in that it gives us a stepping stone to start with. We will now look at how microeconomics mathematizes John's decision making problem. Observe that the information given in the question can be divided into two halves. Number 1, John's constraint. John has an income of rupees 800. The price of bread is rupees 25 and price of butter is rupees 12. These are real world facts which constrain what John can do. For example, John cannot buy 50 units of bread even if he wanted to. So the prices 25 and 12 and the income 800 are numbers which characterize this constraint or bound to John's range of available options. In inequality form, we can write this constraint as 25q1 plus 12q2 less than equal to 800, where q1 is the quantity of bread and q2 is the quantity of butter bought by John. Remember that an equation or inequality is simply a mathematical sentence. What this mathematical sentence is saying is that John's expenditure on bread and butter, John's expenditure is nothing but price of bread into the amount of bread plus price of butter into the amount of butter. This expenditure on bread and butter has to be less than the amount of money he has, that is his income, which equals 800. That is 25q1 plus 12q2 less than equal to 800 is the first half of the mathematical problem we are trying to solve. The second half is given by John's desire, also known as preferences, that is what John wants. Not everybody wants the same thing. In other words, different people have different preferences. Some people like their bread loaded with a thick layer of butter. That is, maybe they consume bread and butter in the ratio 2:1. Others, for example the health conscious and or the money saving types, use so little butter on their slices of bread it's hardly noticeable. That is, they consume bread and butter in the ratio 5:1 or even maybe 8:1. Everybody has different preferences, and even with the same income level and prices of things, people will buy different quantities. In microeconomics, we capture desire as the utility function U. U is a measure of the person's, that is in this case John's, level of satisfaction from his purchase. We say that John chooses q1 and q2, that is the quantities bought and consumed of bread and butter respectively, so as to maximize his level of satisfaction, that is to maximize the value of U. To say that utility or satisfaction U is a function of q1 and q2 just means that U depends upon the choices of q1 and q2. That is, you can plug in or input q1 and q2 as numbers into the utility function, as if the utility function was something like a computer, and this computer would give you the satisfaction derived from consuming q1 units of bread and q2 units of butter. Here the utility function can be written as u is equal to minimum of q1 by 4 comma q2. Again, remember that an equation or inequality is simply a mathematical sentence. So what this sentence is saying is that John's utility or level of satisfaction is numerically equal to 1/4 his consumed quantity of bread and equal to his consumed quantity of butter. You might argue, but wait, can we so easily place a number on happiness or satisfaction in life? As in, your level of satisfaction is something that can be assigned a number. That is a bigger question that I won't try to tackle here. Instead, let me just say that the utility function is ordinal rather than cardinal. What this means that the utility function captures an ordering of consumption bundles. Consumption bundle just means the bundle of quantities of bread and butter written as q1, q2 in first brackets. Let us look at how the utility function establishes a ranking of consumption bundles. Take the consumption bundle 8, 2, that is 8 units of bread, 2 units of butter. The utility that John gets from this bundle is u is equal to minimum of 8 by 4, 2, which is equal to just 2. What is the minimum of 8 by 4 and 2? Well, 8 by 4 is just 2. So the minimum of the two numbers, 2 and 2, is just 2. Now, say John is given an additional unit of bread so that now q1 is equal to 9. So q1 by 4 is equal to 2.25. But despite having an additional unit of bread, John's utility is unaffected because u is equal to minimum of 2.25, 2, which is equal to still 2. Similarly, instead of giving him a unit of bread, if you just gave him a unit of butter, his utility is still unaffected. U is equal to minimum of 8 by 4, which is just 2, 3. So what is the minimum of 2 and 3? It's still 2. So a bundle which John prefers to the bundle 8, 2 would need to have additional units of bread and butter in the ratio 4:1. Otherwise, as we just saw, the additional units are wasted. For example, take the bundle 8 plus 4, 2 plus 1. That is, John is given 4 units of bread and a unit of butter, so that he has 12 units of bread and 3 units of butter. Now John's utility with this bundle is u is equal to minimum of 12 by 4, 3, which is just the minimum of 3 and 3. And so John's utility is 3, which is greater than his original utility 2. Now this conclusion, that to increase John's utility or satisfaction, whatever you want to call it, you have to give him both bread and butter in the ratio 4:1. This conclusion would still be reached if the utility function was any of the following. u2, an alternative utility function, u2 is equal to 5 into the minimum of q1 by 4, q2, or u3, yet another utility function, is equal to e to the power, the natural exponent to the power, minimum of q1 by 4, q2. Although the magnitudes of the utility derived from each bundle would be more. For example, if you plug in the bundle 8, 2, which we used in our previous example, into the utility function u2, then you get the corresponding utility as 5 into the minimum of 8 by 4, 2, which is 10, whereas previously the utility had just been 2 from the consumption bundle 8, 2. It doesn't change the fact that the bundles 8, 2 and 8, 3 and 9, 2 leave John equally well off, no matter the utility function, whether the utility function was the original one, minimum of q1 by 4, q2, or the utility function is u2, 5 into minimum of q1 by 4, q2, or u3. In each of these cases, John would be left just as well off
with either of these three consumption bundles, although the latter of these two bundles, that is 8,3 and 9,2, have more of butter and bread respectively. Moreover, the bundle 12,3 is strictly preferred to 8,2 since the former gives him more utility. In all three utility functions, in case of all three utility functions, this ranking of the bundles, that is 12,3 is preferred to 8,2, it always holds. Let's take the second utility function as an example. So the second utility function, if you plug in this example bundle 8,2, then u2 of 8,2 is 5 into minimum of 8 by 4, 2, which is just 5 into 2, which is 10. And u2 of 12,3 is 5 into minimum of 12 by 4, 3, which is just 5 into 3, which is 15. So regardless of whether John's utility function can be written as u equal to minimum of q1 by 4, q2, or whether you write it as u is equal to 5 into minimum of q1 by 4, q2, or whether you write it as u is equal to e to the power minimum of q1 by 4, q2, in all the cases the bundle 12,3 would always give him more utility than the bundle 8,2, and it is this ranking in terms of utility that we are interested in, not the magnitudes of the utility themselves. So we say that the functions, the three functions, all represent the same preferences in that they all capture the same ranking of consumption bundles. The utility function is ordinal. We are only interested in the order of preference it imposes upon the consumption bundles, not the magnitudes of the utility.